Have you ever found yourself standing in front of a piece of modern art, just kind of scratching your head thinking, is that really art? Well, what if I told you a philosopher from the 20th century came up with a theory so wild it suggests that almost everything we typically call art actually isn't? And, get this, that something you do every single day absolutely is.
Yep, you heard me right. Let's get into it.
So let's start with a simple question. Picture a master carpenter. This person has incredible skill, a real eye for beauty, and they create this absolutely flawless, beautiful table. Are they an artist? I bet your first thought is, yeah, of course. Look at the skill, the beauty.
But the philosopher we're talking about, R.G. Collingwood, he would give a firm and honestly a pretty shocking no. And his reasons for that no are going to completely flip the way you see that table and maybe the very nature of art itself.
So, what's the deal? Well, Collingwood looked at the word art and basically saw a total mess. He believed it's become this sloppy, catch-all term that we've stretched to cover so many different things that it's kind of lost its real meaning. He thought it was time to do some serious untangling.
His main argument is super bold. He claims that a lot of what we see in museums, what we hear in concert halls or watch in theaters, isn't what he calls art proper. Nope, it's something else just masquerading as art. So to really get what art is, we first have to get crystal clear on what it is not. And the biggest, most crucial distinction he makes is the one between art and craft. This right here, this is the key to his entire philosophy. Our carpenter, an absolute master of their craft, for sure. But for Collingwood, not an artist.
And the difference really boils down to this. Look at craft. It's all about the plan. You know exactly what you're going to make before you even start. You've got your tools and materials, the means, and then you've got the final product, the end. They are two separate things. But art? Oh, that's a whole different ballgame. It's an exploration into the unknown. The artist literally doesn't know what the end result will be. They discover it as they go.
Think about it like this. The craftsman, our carpenter, has a blueprint, right? They follow a series of steps. They execute a plan to turn a pile of wood into a very specific, predetermined table. It's all a technical process with a known destination. And this idea of craft goes way beyond just making tables. For Collingwood, a portrait painter who's just trying to get a perfect likeness of someone, that's craft. Someone creating a war dance to make soldiers brave, he calls that magic. Art with a purely practical purpose. That's craft too. Even a summer blockbuster movie designed to make you feel thrilled or sad, that's amusement craft. The key is they all start with a plan to create a specific, predetermined effect on you.
Okay, so if all that stuff isn't art proper, then what in the world is? Well, this is where Collingwood's big idea finally shines through. He argues that true art is about one thing and one thing only: expression. But, and this is a huge but, probably not in the way you're thinking.
You know what? Let's use his own words, because they're just so good. The whole artistic journey starts with what he calls a perturbation or excitement. It's this vague, confusing feeling bubbling up inside. You feel something. You just have no idea what it is. You're in what he calls this helpless and oppressed condition.
And this is the part you gotta get. Yelling into a pillow when you're angry isn't expression in his book. That's just venting an emotion you already know you have. True artistic expression is the journey of taking that totally unknown feeling and, through the act of creating, whether it's painting or writing or composing music, making it clear to yourself. You're not just letting the emotion out, you are discovering its unique identity for the very first time.
And when you nail it, when this process works, 3 amazing things happen. 1, you actually become conscious of what you are feeling. 2, that feeling gets specific. It's not just sadness anymore. It's this specific flavor of melancholy tied to this specific memory. And 3, you feel this sense of lightening, not because the feeling is gone, but because the awful, oppressive confusion of not knowing what it was, that's gone. You found clarity.
All right, buckle up, because this is where the theory goes from interesting to absolutely mind-bending. If you've been following along so far, Collingwood is about to connect this whole idea of art to something that every single one of us does every minute of every day.
Okay, so let's walk through his logic, step by step. Premise number 1, which we've just covered. True art is the process of taking some murky internal feeling and making it clear to yourself through expression. Simple enough.
Now for premise 2.
Think about language. I mean, before it gets all complicated with grammar and logic, what is its most basic, most fundamental job? It's how we make our inner world known. A baby's cry, a sigh of relief, a shout of pure joy. At its very root, language is the expression of emotion.
So, if art is expression, and language is also fundamentally expression, do you see where this is going? What's the wild but totally logical conclusion?
And there it is, in his own words. Every utterance and every gesture that each one of us makes is a work of art. Every single time you speak, every time you use your hands to show how you feel, you are, in that moment, engaging in the artistic process. You're giving form to an inner feeling. You are literally creating a tiny work of art.
This just blows up our whole idea of what an artist is, doesn't it? They're not some special kind of person, some lone genius touched by the gods. An artist is just someone who's gotten really, really good at this thing we all do. They're collaborating with us, with their community, using a shared language to bring clarity to feelings that bubble up in all of us.
Now, look, as brilliant and, well, kind of cool as this whole theory is, it's not perfect. Philosophers since Collingwood have poked some pretty serious holes in it.
Here are a few of the big ones. First, if the real artwork is just an experience inside the artist's head, how can you and I argue about it? We're just talking about two different things. Second, that super sharp line he draws between art and craft, it seems a little too strict. Can a writer really not set out with the plan to write a great tragedy? And finally, this idea that all self-awareness comes through language, that is a huge and very controversial claim in philosophy. But you know, even with its flaws, Collingwood's theory leaves us with this incredibly powerful final thought. It yanks art down from its pedestal in the museum and puts it right in the middle of our messy, everyday lives. So the real question isn't just, what is art anymore? It's this. If every single word you say is a tiny act of creation, what are you going to choose to create next?